What's going on, guys, and welcome to This Week in the Shop. And as you can see, we are not sitting out in the garage because Kansas has been below freezing for like 2 weeks straight, and it's absolutely miserable outside and absolutely miserable in the garage because that is not a heated garage. But we're supposed to hopefully warm up here shortly, and then we'll actually be able to do stuff out in the garage along with filming This Week in the Shop. So had kind of a couple weeks here worth of interesting things that I thought I wanted to go over. And again, if you are new to the channel or new to this video series, this is interesting things that a Mopar technician sees in the dealership shop throughout the week. You can go back and look at some of the previous videos for other weird, interesting things, but I thought we would go over, again, some of the interesting things we saw these last 2 weeks now here in the shop. Now, in the TRX world, there's a whole bunch of guys breaking front CV shafts and tearing axle boots and this, that, and the other. I personally work on a bunch of TRXs at our shop. I'm the only guy that touches them. I'm a TRX owner myself, so I kind of know everybody. I know all the guys that bring their trucks in, and so far, so good. We have not had any broken CV shafts until, like I said, last week. We've had a lot of snow and ice on the ground and had a broken front CV shaft on a TRX. Again, this isn't new in the TRX world. It's just new to me because I haven't gotten to see one broken, and this baby was broken at the joint there on the transfer case, or excuse me, at the joint on the wheel or hub side. It was broken, making a bunch of clicking noise. The boot had come apart. It made a big mess. Luckily, that is covered under your powertrain warranty, your 5-year, 60,000 mile warranty. So the guy was just inconvenienced for a day until we got the shaft in the next day. I got that thing thrown in and he was back on the road, but I felt kind of cool finally getting to see a broken TRX front CV shaft, since I see them all over online and I assume it's from guys out beating on the trucks, out playing in the dirt, out doing some high wheel speed, spinning, etc. Again, I'm assuming this happened because of the snow and ice. A lot of wheel slip, and then it grabs or catches on pavement traction and goes ahead and breaks the axle shaft. Now, you know, could you claim this is abuse? Who knows? I'm sure a different dealer might. Again, I know all the guys that bring their trucks in. The truck's under warranty. I'm going to go ahead and warranty that CV shaft on the truck. And again, get them back on the road. A really interesting thing here that I luckily, or very luckily, do not have to work on is our Fiats that roll in the door. And I guess I say that, I work on a lot of Jeeps that have Fiat engines, but this was a Fiat 500 Abarth. Now, this has the 1.4 liter turbo multi-air engine in those. And honestly, they're pretty cool. They're pretty fun. They're like 200 horsepower in a small teeny car. They move really well, but our Fiat tech has found that these things, I think he's done like 6 of these so far on slightly higher mileage 1.4 liter turbos, that they come in with a misfire. They come in with low compression on one of the cylinders. You pull the cylinder head or you bore scope or whatever, and you end up finding the valve has burnt. I believe it's the intake valve that has burnt a hole in it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I guess I'm not really sure if that was exhaust or intake, but regardless, one of the valves burns a hole, kind of the side off the valve seat area, basically, where that valve would seat into the head. Now, cylinder heads, I thought he said, are not available, or they're outrageously priced. There's some weird reason why he is throwing new valves in these heads versus replacing the head or whatever. So he's pulling the heads off, replacing valves, putting the heads back on, and again, getting that vehicle back on the road. And hopefully the thing lasts for quite a while after that. But just kind of a weird thing in a shop in nowadays time, I guess, is replacement valves, not replacement of a full cylinder head, something like that. But the fact he's getting fresh valves thrown in them and getting you know, getting that customer again back on the road, yes, that would be very labor intensive, but it's better than replacing an engine at a different shop. So that's, again, weird, interesting thing that I haven't seen him do in quite a while. Now, a first for me, another first here, we did our TRX CV shaft, 4xe Wrangler hybrid battery failure. Now, was this a failure? No, the guy came in for the new 95B 4xe recall. These are a recall on the Wrangler and the Jeep Grand Cherokee, just the 4xe. Came in for the recall, performed the recall, and after we do software updates, we go out and do a drive cycle to basically put a bunch of load on the hybrid battery. And so far, every single one of them has passed the test. Yeah, until this one. This one failed. It came up with a code for a cell balancing issue. So at that point, there was contact with Chrysler saying, hey, this set this code after the recall. I'm assuming this needs a battery. They have, of course, agreed with me and got a battery sent to us. So big, huge, massive battery that lives under the second row seat, under the seat, basically, in the JL. Now, that thing is outrageously heavy. I don't even know offhand, but as you can see here, it required an engine hoist to be able to lift that battery, have it strapped up, and then you can ease it out of the passenger or one of the rear doors there, you know. New battery there on the floor, get it strapped, put it back in. And honestly, for my first time doing one of these, it was not bad at all. The next one, you could do it in a really short amount of time. That was not a bad replacement at all. Fill the thing with coolant, make sure everything's good, clear the codes, and boom, it's got a fresh battery. And again, that was covered under warranty. I believe your hybrid vehicle systems have like an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Don't quote me. It's either 8-year, 80,000 or 8-year, 100,000. So you've got kind of a long time on all those expensive hybrid parts and pieces. And if I recall, that battery sitting there on the floor was like $6,500 warranty cost. So again, what would that cost be if you were a customer outside of warranty? I don't know. That's just what that part was for the warranty cost. Thank goodness for warranty. Thank goodness for a recall that's checking these batteries, and we happened to find one that was bad that needed replaced. So, I mean, that's why you come in for recalls. I'm always an advocate of getting recalls done. You don't know whether that's a seatbelt recall or a hybrid battery recall in your vehicle. But again, got one of those taken care of for the first time, so that was kind of fun or interesting or what have you. Back to Bluetooth axle shafts, two-piece axle shafts. Jeep Grand Cherokee, new 5th generation Jeep Grand Cherokee was towed into the shop stating the vehicle wouldn't move, it stopped driving, there was a transfer case message on the dash, etc. All these weird messages, and you know, you're always kind of cringing on a newer vehicle. If I recall, this thing was like a 22 5th generation Jeep Grand Cherokee L. That's the long wheelbase, the 3-row Grand Cherokee. Was able to fire the thing up, put it in drive and pulled it into the shop relatively pain-free, other than a little bit of noise from the rear. Put that thing up on the lift and yeah, the axle shaft snapped in half. Now, again, keep in mind what I talked about at the beginning of this video. We had a whole bunch of snow, ice, sleet, all of that all over the roadways, all over the ground, all over driveways. I'm assuming the vehicle was, you know, stuck in a little bit of snow or spinning on ice, got off the ice, and that wheel speed was really excessive. It got finally traction on pavement, and that axle shaft was the weak link and broke, which, to be honest, if there's a fuse in your drivetrain, you would rather have it be the cheapest or easiest to replace part. Now, by that, I mean, do you want your transmission to break in that situation? No, absolutely not. Do you want your drive shaft to break? No, probably not, because that's feeding the axles. Do you want your axle to grenade and break? No. So Are they engineered to break or be the weakest link? I don't know. I'd like to think that they are and that it worked correctly, because that saved the rest of the drivetrain from damage, failure, whatever. Now, one thing I did see that was kind of interesting on this new WL 5th generation Grand Cherokee was the axle shaft was hollow, which I guess I haven't seen a whole lot of axle shafts or CV shafts, I guess I should say, cut in half, but it was a hollow tube, which maybe many of them are and you just never know because you never see them shrapneled in half. But again, that thing was under its factory powertrain warranty. It didn't cause the customer any cost other than the little bit of, annoyance of having the vehicle down. We had to order a part, get the part in, get it installed, and off they were on their way. Last but not least is something, goodness, I guess again, all these things are kind of new things that I've never done that we did for the first time. Jeep Wrangler JL and Jeep Gladiator JT. Those have the new, is it 3rd generation Dana 44 rear? I believe it's Gen 3, because the new 2024 Jeep Wranglers have the new Gen 4 full floating Dana 44 rear. But talking about the Gen 3 Dana 44 rear axle, that is, again, came out in 2018 with Jeep Wrangler JLs, and again on Gladiators, and I believe, what, 20 is when we came out with Gladiators. The darn pinion bearings. We've again not had a huge amount of failures on these things, but we've had a handful of them over the years from 2018 where we've got a bunch of pinion bearing noise. The pinion is even loose in the housing. They obviously come in making some grinding, some unpleasant noises, and normally that vehicle is under powertrain warranty and the axle assembly gets replaced because there's metal that's spread throughout. Had a Gladiator come into the shop that was re-geared. Unfortunately, if an aftermarket shop, if you, the customer, have re-geared your axle, that then can't really be warranted, if that makes sense, because it's not a factory defect on Mopar, on Jeep, since that axle's been opened up, modified, messed with. So we had a Gladiator come in with pinion bearings making noise. Now again, like I said, this would normally warrant a rear axle replacement. That's at least what we've always done in our shop. You get a brand new fresh one, you bolt it in and you go. Couldn't really do that here because that Gladiator would not have come with 488 gears as that customer had installed. So customer provided new pinion bearings for this thing, a pinion seal crush sleeve, and again, this would have been the first one that we've torn down to replace bearings in. Now, I didn't get a whole bunch of pictures of the process because again, I'm there working, I'm not really there for instructional purposes, but I did at least get a picture of the goofy pinion bearings, and it's been my assumption since the JL came out that the handful, again, this is not a widespread issue. We just see more pinion bearings that have failed on JLs than I think we ever did previously on JKs. But what I think has caused it, what I think the issue is the change in pinion bearings. Now, there's a inner and an outer pinion bearing. The inner pinion bearing, as it's been through all of our generations, are a tapered roller bearing, and that works great. The outer bearing on JLs and JTs are a double roller ball bearing. I've never seen that in an axle application, at least with Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge products. And that's my assumption, or that's my guess on why we've got these weird pinion bearing failures. Again, I am no engineer. I'm just a guy out there trying to fix these darn things and get them back on the road. But it just seems really weird that we had a change to a ball bearing for that front pinion bearing. And now we've got, again, it's not a widespread issue. I know I've said that 20 times, but we just see more pinion bearing issues on JLs and JTs because I think that darn double roller ball bearing. How are you properly preloading a roller ball bearing, a tapered roller bearing, which is what the correct bearing is for that application, can get properly preloaded, but a roller ball bearing, I don't really know how you're preloading that properly when it's resting on the balls instead of on a tapered roller. Again, an engineer, one of you guys potentially could correctly comment and say, hey, you're wrong. A roller bearing would, or a ball bearing would absolutely work in that application. And I guess for the most part they do, but this was just kind of interesting, getting the opportunity to tear one down and replace some bearings that we previously have not done before. So guys, I think that's going to do it for this week, or this 2 weeks in the shop, since I missed last week due to the cold, because I assumed I needed to be filming out in the garage to do this, but I guess it don't really matter where I film this. We're sitting down here in the basement, but yeah, that was this week's in the shop. And guys, let me know down in the comments, do you have any of these vehicles? Have you had any of these issues? And what are you working on out in your garage? And hopefully your garage is above freezing, unlike mine. Again, like I said, this week forward, we are supposed to be getting into the 50s and 60s, which we haven't seen for a long time. So we should hopefully be back to some of our normal videos. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I've got to get done. We've got some Wrangler stuff. We've got some Equinox EV things. We have a brand new Jeep vehicle that's out in the garage that we haven't even made a single video with, that I would love to get a review video going, that we've got some issues with. So we've got a whole bunch to do outside. We just need the weather to cooperate. So guys, until next time, thanks for coming into the basement with me this time. And guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.